My dear wonderful friends, I stand before you today to share a truth so profound, so magnificent, that once truly understood, it will forever alter the course of your existence. While countless teachers speak of manifestation and the power of thought, they have merely scratched the surface of what your divine imagination can truly accomplish. The world at large has been kept from the true treasures of Neville Goddard's teachings. Yes, his name may be familiar to some of you, but I tell you with absolute certainty, the profound core of his message has been deliberately diluted, misinterpreted, and in some cases completely hidden from public knowledge. Why? Because these teachings, when applied in their purest form, render obsolete the need for endless searching, constant striving, and the perpetual consumption of spiritual products that keep you dependent on external validation. The truth shall indeed set you free, but freedom is not profitable to those who wish to keep you in chains. For 15 years, I have immersed myself in every lecture, every book, and every recorded word of this master teacher. I have traced the origins of his ideas, connected patterns others have missed, and most importantly, I have lived these principles and witnessed their unfailing operation in my own life experience. What I discovered was shocking. The popularized version of manifestation taught by most self-proclaimed experts today bears little resemblance to Goddard's actual teachings. They have taken fragments of his wisdom and repackaged them into palatable, marketable concepts that fail to deliver the immediate, tangible results that Neville himself demonstrated and taught. Today, I will reveal to you 3 profound misconceptions that have kept you from experiencing the full power of your imagination. These are not minor details, but fundamental truths that completely transform how manifestation operates in your life. Once you understand these principles, you will never again struggle with the inconsistent results that plague so many seekers. I make you this solemn promise: by the end of our time together, you will possess knowledge that will make obsolete every vision board, affirmation script, and manifestation technique you've previously encountered. You will understand why your past efforts may have produced sporadic results at best, and you will know precisely how to implement the actual formula that Neville himself used to transform his own reality with unfailing consistency. The first shocking truth about manifestation that has been hidden from you is this: you are not separate from the things you desire. The conventional teaching that you must attract things from outside yourself fundamentally misrepresents how the universe actually operates. This misunderstanding alone has caused countless sincere seekers to waste years of precious time on techniques that can never produce consistent results. In Neville's own words, which you will rarely hear quoted in full, "The whole vast world is yourself pushed out." Not some of it, not just the good parts. The whole vast world. Every person, every circumstance, every condition you experience is nothing more than your consciousness made visible. This is not a poetic metaphor or a philosophical concept to contemplate. It is the literal structure of reality itself. The implications of this truth are so profound that most teachers deliberately avoid discussing it, for it places the entirety of your life experience squarely in your hands, with no external factors to blame for any perceived failures. When you truly understand this principle, manifestation ceases to be a technique and becomes simply the natural expression of who you are. There is nothing to attract, nothing to pull toward you. There is only the expansion of your consciousness into forms that reflect its nature.
Have you ever wondered why some of your manifestations appear almost instantly while others seem perpetually out of reach? The answer lies not in the complexity of what you desire, but in your relationship to it. Those things you accept as naturally yours appear without effort. Those you view as separate from yourself, as things to be attained through struggle or worthiness, remain perpetually at a distance. This is the hidden wisdom that transforms ordinary consciousness into creative power. This is what the ancient text referred to when they proclaimed, "Know thyself," for in truly knowing yourself, you recognize that there is nothing outside of your consciousness, nothing to seek, nothing to attract, nothing to manifest. There is only that which you are willing to claim as already yours in consciousness. The magnitude of this truth cannot be overstated. It completely dismantles the foundation upon which most manifestation teachings are built. And this is merely the first of the 3 profound revelations I will share with you today. Imagine what power awaits as we uncover the remaining 2 secrets that have been kept from you. In a world filled with spiritual half-truths and commercialized wisdom, I offer you the pure, undiluted teachings of a master who understood that your imagination is not merely a tool for visualization. It is the very substance of life itself.
The creative power that shaped worlds and galaxies resides within you, waiting to be recognized and utilized with the precision and understanding that Neville Goddard so brilliantly illuminated. Are you prepared to release everything you thought you knew about manifestation and embrace a truth so simple yet so powerful that it will render all techniques unnecessary? Are you willing to stand in the awesome responsibility of knowing that your consciousness is the sole author of your life experience? If so, then you are ready for the first shocking truth about manifestation. The conventional teaching that manifestation requires you to attract things from outside yourself is perhaps the most crippling misconception prevalent today. Neville Goddard taught with unmistakable clarity, the world is yourself pushed out. This is not a metaphorical statement, but a literal description of the nature of reality. In his lecture, The Pruning Shears of Revision, Neville declared, man's consciousness is God, the one and only reality. When man discovers that his consciousness is the reality of all that he perceives, that it is God, he will realize that there is nothing to change but self. Consider carefully what this means. The people in your life, the circumstances you encounter, the very fabric of your experience, all of it is an externalization of states you have occupied in consciousness. There is no separation between you and what you desire. Your desires are not things to be attracted, but states of consciousness to be assumed. Let me illustrate this principle with an example. Neville himself shared. A woman in his audience desperately wanted to visit her family overseas, but lacked the financial means for the journey. The conventional approach would have her visualizing receiving money, creating affirmations about abundance, or making vision boards of her destination. Instead, Neville instructed her to simply assume the feeling of being with her family, to sleep each night in the assumption that she was already there. Within weeks, a series of unexpected events unfolded. Her employer offered her a paid leave of absence, and a relative gifted her the exact amount needed for her passage. The external circumstances rearranged themselves to conform to her assumed state. This brings us to the second great misconception, that manifestation requires constant repetition of affirmations or visualizations. The popular teaching suggests that we must reprogram our subconscious through persistent repetition. Neville taught precisely the opposite. You need not repeat the action unless the belief in your own wonderful value begins to fade, he wrote. The power lies not in repetition but in the intensity of feeling with which you assume the state of your wish fulfilled. This is what Neville meant when he titled his book Feeling is the Secret. One single moment of complete assumption, saturated with the feeling of naturalness, is worth more than weeks of half-hearted affirmations. When you truly capture the feeling of your desire as already accomplished, you have planted the seed that must, by cosmic law, blossom into objective reality. A student of mine, after learning this principle, abandoned her elaborate manifestation rituals and instead spent 5 minutes before sleep completely embodying the feeling of being married to her specific person. She stopped all external actions, the texts, the calls, the strategizing, and focused solely on living from the end in consciousness. Within 3 weeks, this man who had been distant for months contacted her with a complete change of heart. They were engaged within 6 months. The third misconception is perhaps the most pervasive in today's manifestation culture, the belief that positive thinking and high vibrational states are prerequisites for successful manifestation. Neville explicitly taught that manifestation operates by law, not by deservingness or spiritual purity. The law operates with mathematical certainty, he stated. It is not influenced by your mental or emotional state except insofar as that state embodies the assumption of your wish fulfilled. This means that someone in a terrible mood who successfully assumes a state will manifest it just as surely as someone brimming with positivity. This is where the profound distinction between the popular law of attraction and Neville's law of assumption becomes evident. The law of attraction suggests that you draw experiences that match your vibration. The law of assumption states that you experience what you have claimed as true in consciousness, regardless of your general emotional state. Neville's technique of revision further illustrates this distinction. Rather than demanding constant positivity, revision acknowledges unwanted experiences and then mentally reconstructs them as you would have preferred them to be. This is not denial or toxic positivity. It is the conscious exercise of your creative power to reinterpret the past and thereby alter the trajectory of your future. A businessman I mentored was facing bankruptcy after a series of catastrophic financial decisions. Instead of focusing on raising his vibration or repeating positive affirmations about money, I taught him Neville's revision technique. Each night he mentally revised the day's events, reimagining successful outcomes for each problematic situation. Within 1 month, 3 separate individuals who had previously refused to invest in his company approached him with offers of partnership. 2 of his largest outstanding debts were unexpectedly forgiven. He later confided that, throughout this period, he had experienced anxiety, fear, and doubt. Yet the manifestations came precisely as he had revised. This demonstrates the extraordinary truth of Neville's teaching. The law responds not to your general emotional state, but to what you have accepted as true in consciousness. As Neville said, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. The power of assumption transcends positive thinking. It does not ask you to deny your current emotions or pretend all is well when it isn't. It simply invites you to choose which state you will occupy in consciousness, knowing that whatever state you assume, regardless of external evidence, must objectify itself in your experience. This is the liberation that awaits when you understand manifestation through Neville's actual teachings rather than the diluted versions so prevalent today. You are freed from the tyranny of having to maintain constant positivity. You are released from the burden of endless repetition, and most importantly, you recognize that there is nothing outside of you that needs to be a trait ticked or achieved. There is only your own wonderful human imagination, externalizing whatever you have accepted as true. My dear friends, we have now unveiled the 3 fundamental truths that have been obscured from Neville Goddard's teachings. Let us integrate these powerful revelations into a practice that you can begin implementing tonight, one that will demonstrate the immediacy and effectiveness of Goddard's actual methodology. First, we established that you are not separate from your desires. The entire world is yourself pushed out. Second, we learned that manifestation requires not repetition, but the feeling of naturalness. And third, we discovered that the law operates by assumption, not by emotional state or worthiness. Now, let me guide you through what Neville called the simple method to change the future, a technique so straightforward yet so powerful that most teachers deliberately complicate it to maintain your dependence on their systems. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, I want you to do exactly as Neville instructed. The state of consciousness of having already achieved your goal should be assumed. This state is one of fulfillment and satisfaction. It is a state in which you no longer desire because you already have. Here is the precise technique. As you lay in your bed, completely relax your body. Take several deep breaths and feel the tension leaving every muscle. Now, close your eyes and ask yourself, what would I experience right now if my desire were already fulfilled? Don't rush this step. Really contemplate what your sensory experience would be. Would you feel the weight of a wedding ring on your finger? Would you feel the texture of a paycheck in your hand? Would you hear specific congratulatory words from a loved one? Would you see a particular environment that represents your fulfilled desire? Whatever that experience would be, now mentally construct it with as much sensory detail as possible. See the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures, smell the scents that would accompany your desire fulfilled. But most importantly, and this is where most practitioners fail, capture the feeling of naturalness, the feeling that this is simply your reality, not something special or extraordinary. Neville emphasized, the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the feeling which precedes the objective appearance of the wish. This feeling is not excitement or elation. Those emotions acknowledge the absence of your desire. The true feeling is one of natural acceptance, the quiet knowing that something is simply true. As you maintain this scene and this feeling, you will likely drift into sleep. This is precisely what should happen, for as Neville taught, dreams are the children of an idle day. The seed planted in this drowsy, receptive state will grow unimpeded by your conscious doubts. Now, some of you may ask, but what if my mind wanders? What if I can't maintain the scene? Neville anticipated this concern. He said, if you find yourself back in your room, on your bed, recreate the scene and start over. You may fall asleep in the attempt, but that is good, for the seed has been planted. Another common question is, how long will it take for my desire to manifest? Neville was clear. The time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to become reality, depends upon the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. Some manifestations will appear within hours, others may take weeks or months. The variable is not the complexity of what you desire, but the completeness with which you can assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I once worked with a woman who had been trying to manifest her dream home for 3 years using conventional techniques. After one session of properly applying Neville's method of sleeping in the state of the wish fulfilled, she received a call the very next morning about a property that matched her specifications exactly, one that had not yet been listed on the market. This is not coincidence. This is law. The cosmic principle that Neville revealed operates with mathematical precision when properly understood and applied. Many of you have spent years following complex manifestation protocols, scripting, affirming, visualizing, alignment exercises, clearing blocks, raising vibrations, yet your results have been inconsistent at best. This is because these methods, while containing fragments of truth, miss the essential simplicity of Neville's teaching. Consciousness is the only reality, and what you assume as true must objectify itself in your experience. I urge you to test this for yourself. Tonight, abandon all techniques and simply apply this one fundamental principle. Sleep in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of it, then go about your days without anxiety or concern for how it will manifest. The results will astonish you, not because there is anything magical happening, but because you are finally aligning yourself with the actual law of manifestation rather than its popularized misinterpretations. My friends, we stand at a crucial juncture in human understanding. For too long, the profound simplicity of manifestation has been deliberately obscured, keeping earnest seekers dependent on external systems and authorities. Today, I have shared with you what Neville himself declared. The secret is to feel yourself into the state of the answered prayer and make it real to you. This knowledge places the creative power squarely back where it belongs, in your hands. No longer must you search endlessly for the right technique or teacher. No longer must you wonder why some desires manifest while others remain elusive. You now possess the pure, undiluted truth that Neville Goddard taught, the truth that various interests have worked diligently to keep from becoming common knowledge. For when all people understand that consciousness is the only operative power in their experience, the entire industry built around manifestation becomes unnecessary. You become the master of your destiny, not through struggle or worthiness, but through the simple yet profound act of assumption. I invite you to join me on this journey of reclaiming the lost wisdom of Neville Goddard. Test these principles for yourself. Experience firsthand the unfailing operation of the law of assumption, and share your results, so that others may be inspired to abandon complicated systems in favor of this fundamental truth. The power to create your reality has always resided within you. It was never something to be attained, never something to be earned. It is your birthright as a human being, endowed with the divine gift of imagination, the very creative substance from which worlds are formed. Go now and create deliberately, knowing that what you assume must manifest, for such is the law and promise of your own wonderful human imagination.